Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be taking a preview look at a new DLC for Order of Battle World War II, which is coming out on, I think, August 8th. That game, Order of Battle 2, is a turn-based strategy game that allows you to play through various campaigns in World War II as either the Allies or the Axis. There's a whole bunch of DLC that come with the game. I think you get the boot camp for free, which isn't really very much. But then they've got a U.S. Pacific campaign, a Japanese Pacific campaign. They've got a campaign in China. They've got the Burma Road, so the Burma Theater, a U.S. Marine Corps campaign, a campaign that focuses on the Africa Corps, then 3 campaigns that focus on Germany in Europe, Blitzkrieg, Panzerkrieg, and Endsieg. They even have a Winter War and a Kriegsmarine campaign. And the newest one that is about to come out is called Red Star, which is the Soviet campaign. Starts in 1938, presumably with the border clashes between Japan and the Soviets, and goes through to 1941, actually. So maybe, I'm wondering if this is actually going to be a campaign that they have a follow-on. So the first campaign they had for Blitzkrieg was Germany from 1939 to 1940, Panzerkrieg to 42. Panzerkrieg was 42 to, I think, 43, and then Endsieg was post-Kursk, so 43 to the conclusion of the war. Looks like Red Star starts in 38, I'm assuming with the campaign against Japan. Then it probably moves to the Winter War, then probably to Barbarossa here, because the way this is written, it says, following the initial border conflicts versus Imperial Japan, the campaign moves to Europe after the short Winter War of 1940. The Red Army faces the ultimate threat in the summer of 1941 when Germany invades Russia. So this would presumably mean then that the Russian campaign may follow a similar 2 or 3 tier approach as the German campaign did. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. This is a sneak peek. Again, it comes out in a couple of days, so we're going to play the Soviet campaign. I don't need tutorial messages. Red Star Rising. After the turbulent times of the Revolution and the Civil War, the Red Army has grown into a massive army, or into a mass army, able to field huge mechanized formations and a large air force. But how will it cope against well-led and well-equipped enemy forces in battle? Alright, so you can see here, obviously we've got the European theater here, but then we've got this sort of separate map over here on the right, and it looks like we're going to be playing the Battle of Lake Kashan to start. So after Japanese forces occupy the Changfeng Heights, the Red Army launches a swift counterattack in August of 1938. This is very much like a Panzer General type of a game, except that it is a little bit more detailed in some interesting ways. And I think it's interesting that Matrix and Slytherin are continuing to publish DLCs for this, because Panzer General 2 is just around the corner. Sorry, Panzer Corps 2 is just around the corner, and this is a very similar kind of a game to that. Admittedly, I kind of stopped playing this game after a little bit, because between Panzer Corps and then Order of Battle, which came out a few years later, got a little bit of fatigue around this type of game, and it feels like certainly on Steam there's a whole bunch of games out here, very similar design style, very similar topics, but I think Order of Battle does some things that are a little bit fresh, a little bit different than Panzer Corps, and so I always kind of had a little bit of a soft spot for it. I think I'm at like 65 hours on my Steam charts, which isn't huge, but it's not small. We'll play as I think major difficulty, which is the middle range, and we'll go ahead and jump in. All right, and away we go. The mission briefing awaits. Imperial Japanese forces have repeatedly violated our borders. In recent days, tensions escalated into open conflict after Japanese troops attacked our border forces and occupied the Changfeng Heights near Lake Kashan, which are undoubtedly Soviet territory. After days of diplomatic activity between Moscow and Tokyo, it's become clear that the Japanese have no interest in a peaceful solution. Now we will have no choice but to protect our territory from further imperialist aggression. To rectify the situation, Command has mobilized substantial forces, including numerous armored vehicles and bomber units. You're tasked with the joint attack to retake our territory and teach the Japanese a clear lesson that the Soviet Union will never tolerate this kind of aggression. Our mechanized forces are superior in number and equipment, but do not underestimate our enemy. Imperial Japanese Army forces deployed here are well dug in and have more combat experience, since Japan has been engaged in various military conflicts for years now. Enemy aircraft are not present in this area, but intercepted radio messages suggest that several Imperial Japanese Army artillery and anti-aircraft units have been deployed. However, given the forces at our disposal, Moscow expects you to defeat the enemy and swiftly and decisively. So it's a 16-turn game. Goes, I think, 1 turn per day. You can see here our objectives are to retake the Changfeng Heights. There's 3 of them, I guess. Destroy 15 Japanese ground units. Secondary objective, cause 30 damage by tanks, and deploy 2 core tanks before turn 2. So this is, the Japanese had some border clashes with the Soviets in before the main part, not main part, but before World War II really broke out in earnest. And it was their defeats against Russia so shook their military foundations that it was one of the major reasons the Japanese turned against the Americans in World War II rather than the Soviets who had drubbed them so badly. All right, so let's see here. Those are deployed units, alive units, reserve units. So we have 450 points. I guess we might as well, wants us to deploy 2 core tank units before turn 2, so we might as well do that now. You can see here, obviously it's 1938, so we don't have a ton of great tank options. We've got the T-26, and then, which is the cheapest one. It's a light tank. It's a 1933 model tank. We've got the T-38, which I think is a subsequently newer, well, actually it's not. It's let's see, this is a light tread limited awareness tank. This is light tread limited awareness, light tread limited awareness. Are they all light tread limit? Artillery mode limited awareness, so the BT-7A can also double as an artillery piece. Ooh, the T-38 is a swimmer. It can cross water and limited awareness. Let's go ahead and purchase this guy. And then we're also going to purchase, I think, a BT-7, which is a little bit of a heavier tank. So you can see here, where does it give you the stats for the tank? Oh, it's down here. So you can see it has 10. So you can see if we hover over the T-38 that we just bought, the T-38 is lighter in term. It doesn't give me the option. It's just the mechanical breakdown. So it's better against air, better against bombs, worse against infantry, I guess, is the way I'm reading this. I'm not really sure. Hey, J Street. Sneaky Tortuga submarine captain? What? I don't know what you're talking about there. Nam Nam no Haman? What do you say, Neuhauser? They're about to smash the Imperial Japanese Army? Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. Alright, so we bought those 2 tanks. Probably should buy some infantry and artillery to go with them. So let's get some artillery here. The BT-7A. I'm going to go with a 122 millimeter. This thing looks sexy. We'll go with the Soviet truck. Ooh, that's expensive. Horse transport's cheaper, but not by much. And then we'll also go with, we've got 170 left. We go with an R-10 tactical bomber. Go with some strategic bombers. They do have anti-aircraft, according to the game. Maybe we'll just go with some infantry. Soviet heavy infantry. Actually, we can buy a couple of Soviet heavy infantry. Go figure, the Soviets always have cheap and enough infantry. Alright, so let's see here. This is the map. It's a small-ish map. You can see here, Soviet base up here. Where are the objectives? Where are those heights? Where the hell are the heights we're supposed to be taking? Alright, so there's one here, one here. There's a third one somewhere around here. Oh, so these 3 are the things we need to take. These 3 locations. So we've already got an infantry and an armored car down here, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy our heavy tank down here. In the north, I'm going to deploy the T-38. I think there'll be more opportunity to move around aquatic targets. So let's deploy him here. Staff officers of the 39th Red Army Rifle Corps responsible for this operation are pleased that you provided additional armored units. So I don't really know what that does. The fact that we deployed extra army units, but okay. Alright, so we'll move these guys over here. We've got a whole bunch of armor already up in the north. I wonder if I should have swum across. I wonder if the T-38 can even do that. Let's take this off. Can I not? I don't know if it can swim across to Kocha, but maybe it could and we could flank him. We'll see. Alright, then we've got this artillery here. We're going to move the artillery down. We actually already have some artillery down there. But let's do that. Let's try and break through this narrow corridor. Add some infantry here. So my main thrust down here is going to be this ways, and then obviously we'll attack over the top with our armored units up here. This, I'm hoping this is a relatively easy victory. I guess we'll see. We'll also purchase some heavy infantry without tanks? Oh, I don't have enough command points, so we'll just leave that as is. Alright, and I actually don't even have enough air command points to do anything with that. So we've already accomplished the 2 core tank units before turn 2. We need to cause 30 damage by tanks, and then take the heights and destroy a bunch of Japanese units. Can this guy move? He's a swimmer, but it doesn't look like he can move across that wide a body of water, which is fine. Okay. This map looks not very historical. Too much water. Where are all the planes? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Alright, so there's enemy artillery off our flank. But we'll go ahead and attack these Japanese infantry here who are dug in. Do we do no damage? Eek. Well, that sucks. I thought it said we were going to do 2 damage to them. It did. Same as that attack. Again, our troops fail to deliver and take worse casualties. Landmines! In a matter of days, the enemy has managed to lay landmines near a few choke points. Without engineer units at our disposal, you'll need to rely on our infantry units to clear a path. Oh, how Soviet of us. Alright, so can any of these guys make it down there? No. This guy can make it in trucks. Alright, so we'll attack with our cavalry there. It's a frickin' choke point. We're just getting slaughtered over here. I know I'm taking casualty. Oh, nice. Okay, we did a fair bit of damage to them there. Got them down 5. That was, these estimates on casualties have proved to be not even remotely accurate so far. So I guess, is that fitting in Soviet as well? Alright, nice. Doing some damage to enemy anti-aircraft guns. I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay. We have our armored unit here. Oh, our infantry units want to mount up in trucks. Landmines! I guess clearing landmines with that could be worse. Alright, armor. Japanese actually have some Type 94 tanks here, apparently. Come on, Japanese troops. You're supposed to get steamrolled by our tanks. This is not historical. Complaints. We'll move our artillery. Actually, our artillery can hit from back here. I should have bombarded first. So we're in a natural choke point down here. I don't have any engineers or anything that I can cross the roadways with. Alright, I think that's going to about do it for most of our troops, right? Oh, we do have one bomber up here, an SB-2, a Tupolev. So we'll fly him this away. And I think that's almost every unit. These infantry can move forward here. It's going to be... I should have deployed more troops to the north. It's a pretty limited front here down in the south. But in any event, we'll go ahead and move or end the turn. So we've got artillery on the flank on that little island there that's hitting us. They're doing some reinforcements, falling some infantry back. J Street, I think that's a little bit of a stereotype with regards to the Soviets, but hey, you know, it's okay. I'll live with it. I don't think they were quite as meat grindery as we often hear about. Okay, so let's do this. Let's have these bombers go ahead and bomb these guys. The bombing should suppress the enemy. We'll use our armor against them. Machine gun tanks, gotta love it. We'll overrun them with this armor here. Move this armor through. Engage whatever the hell this is. It's an armored car, I guess. And there you go. That was a little bit of our own blitzkrieg there. We'll flank these guys here. I think I was actually reading the estimate's slightly wrong. So that's an anti-tank gun that we're taking out with infantry. We're battering a bit with infantry. Alright, so we are advancing on a broader front in the north. Meanwhile, in the south, what's happening here? Let's go ahead and bombard these troops with artillery. Can't quite hit them from there, so we'll move the artillery forward. I'm going to try and swing. I'm going to pull this recon unit back. Take out, alright, so we took out those mines. So we'll go after this Japanese tank here in the south. It's in a wood line, which is, I don't know, interesting. Can't quite break out and advance around them, but that should come next turn. Move our cavalry forward and our recon forward. Alright, so in the south, we're about to break through. And in the north, likewise. So we'll go ahead and fast forward. Or not fast forward, but we'll go ahead and advance to the next turn. More artillery on our flank from those pesky Japanese. Various units reinforcing, withdrawing. They pulled out of their fortified positions, which are good for us, I think. Some artillery supporting their against our armor. By the way, guys, can you hear me okay over the game? Russian cavalry does not retreat. Alright, so we're up to 17 damage by tanks. I'm assuming this is to represent, like, the impact that the tanks had on the Japanese psyche. Another bomber unit's been deployed to support your operation. It's going to take a little bit to get over there. Alright, so we'll hit him with artillery. Move that artillery forward. Oh, god damn it, mines! Fuck. This is such a slog. Man, I miss being able to, like, swap units out and replace them. Once you attack, you're kind of fixed to your position, which kind of sucks. Can you, like, not shift out? No, doesn't look like it. Alright, well, that attack in the south then isn't going as well as I had hoped. Alright, we'll attack those anti-tank guns. Like, I should be able to attack and then withdraw. That would be preferable. Alright, so maybe we'll drive them back? Or not? Okay, so we drove them back. Fucking mines! Again! God damn it. Let's see if we can finish him off with bombers. Nope. So we got rid of that minefield. Did some damage to some of those guys. Let's reinforce these guys. Good thing is you can move and still reinforce. That's one nice thing about this. You can't attack and reinforce though. Okay. So I think that's going to do it for the turn. We'll move on to turn number 3 or number 4. We got 16. We're not very far distance-wise from the actual objectives here. Oh my god. Wait, did they just blow up their own mines? That's weird. Right, we've almost caused 30 damage by tanks. There you go, Rolling Thunder. Command has noted your skills in leading substantial mechanized forces into battle, as our inexperienced tank forces prove their combat value. But we haven't, like, actually steamrolled them, which is, I guess, what I would expect. Alright, so that unit's gone. The Soviet army with the long arm of the Soviet artillery. Nice. Okay, so there we go. This game has some loud ass gameplay audio. It's so weird. Alright, so we destroyed that guy. Damn it, we can't finish him off. So I guess that's what counts as amphibious. I can pursue over a slightly water hex. We are losing some pretty heavy casualties here. Is Tortuga here? I don't see Tortuga. Oh, do I? Do I know who the first person is yet? No, I'm not sure. We haven't finalized all that yet. I feel like the Japanese are giving a much better account of themselves than they historically did. I feel like they should just be being steamrolled. They have a lot of fucking artillery, too. Yeah, but I don't want to lose men. More Japanese troops. No one moved the line, just more Japanese troops. Alright, 2 core. Okay, so the secondary objectives are met. Primary ones were nowhere near met yet. Alright. So Let's reinforce these guys. Just trying to get our reinforcements up a bit. Alright, let's fly this guy back here. Aw, poor doggy. I hear my dog in the other room having a nightmare. Alright, okay, so we kind of, I wouldn't say we broke through, but we did push through their front lines a bit in the north. Okay. So let's use some artillery down here. I'm going to move this up north a little bit. And going to try and wear down this attack. This is one of the objectives right here with this 6 unit on it. Shit. Those are Soviet conscripts and I can't get them out. Reinforce, reinforce. Alright. Air units. I need to concentrate my air units, I think. So we'll bomb that guy. Hopefully they keep that unit in place and we'll be able to overrun it next turn. Alright, so ready to move forward to turn number 6. Like, Japanese artillery's not going to be knocking out our tanks left and right like that. Come on, man! Holy hell, they have a lot of frickin' artillery. Ooh, that amphibious tank did not do well in that attack. Machine gun versus machine gun. Alright. So pull this guy back. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and bombard this guy. We're gonna fly our bombers. Oh. Over here and hit him too. Take a little bit of flak. Alright, I'll attack here. Why? Oh, it's an anti-tank gun in support. Okay. I wish I could move him. Man, I really wish this game let you move after or before you attack. We'll leave this armor in place. All right. Attack their artillery there to try and make it less effective next turn with our cavalry. Everybody else up there is already moved. Go ahead and bomb. Okay, so they left this unit on top of those heights, which is what I'm going to focus all my effort on. So you can see here they're suppressed. And then we'll go ahead and attack. Finish them off. Pull this armor back. Attack into the gap here. Drive them back. Did we force them to retreat again? Yeah, we didn't destroy them though. Reinforce those guys. We're almost out of money, actually, so we can't really do much more in the way of reinforcing. Nonetheless, we took the first of the objectives, and it feels like we kind of more or less broke the front open back here. Badly damaged an artillery unit, pushed back and nearly destroyed an infantry unit, destroyed another infantry unit. This part of their line is definitely broken here in the south. In the north, we'll see what happens here. Did I not move? Yeah, I already moved that guy. All right, so we'll have to move our artillery forward to keep up with the advance now, but it doesn't really feel blitzkrieg-y enough to me. Really, the Japanese best weapon was artillery against tanks. I guess they were not very much... I mean, they weren't really a very well-equipped army to fight against armor. That was definitely true. And I guess these aren't like T-34s or anything. These are pretty light tanks that are getting knocked out, so... Alright, so we're up to 6 Japanese units destroyed, 1 of the 3 bases taken. Alright, so we drove him back. Drove him back. We have broken through. Let's reinforce that armor. Man, these Japanese heavy infantry here don't want to be dislodged. Do we destroy him at least? Yes, we got him. Let's pull the cavalry back. We'll swing them around to try and flank. Move infantry forward here. Yeah, I mean, the German 88 was definitely a tank killer, but it wasn't really an artillery piece per se. It was more of a flak anti-aircraft gun and direct fire weapon. I mean, you could use it indirect, I guess. Don't question me. Okay. Knock him out. There you go. Alright, so we just destroyed that anti-tank gun. We have broken through. Ah, shit. Alright, so we are advancing in the last objective from both directions, actually. From the north here, we've got a pincer around this left flank, and we've got one moving up here from the south. We also still need to take this objective here, which we've been hitting for a little bit, but is still holding out. Move our artillery a little bit closer. And I think these guys need to reinforce. They do. Okay, so we're 7 turns in, and I think we're nearing a victory. Hey, I don't fail to attack. No one's going to end up on the front lines if they question me. Well, they might know. They might end up on the front lines if they question me. They won't end up in a failed attack, but they will give their lives for the gloriousness of me succeeding in an attack, I think. Well, that was an interesting decision, AI, to move your guy forward and then back. Hey, Dutchman, thanks for the follow. Holy hell, this gameplay audio is loud in my ear. Alright, so 5 more units we need to destroy, and 2 more heights to take. Alright, alright, so that anti-aircraft gun is gone. We'll go with the experienced replacements there. Right, so they move some troops back into this wood line here, so I am going to go ahead and bombard them with artillery. Pull these guys back and then reinforce them. All right. Cavalry attack there. Alright, so we damaged them pretty heavily. Alright, so we took a little bit of damage doing some bombing of these enemy troops. We didn't quite destroy them, but we did dislodge this Japanese engineer unit. Drove them back. Trying to pincer these guys. Okay. So we're kind of working our way back in here, nearly around their lines. Almost got them surrounded. I'd say we have their supply line cut by taking this road. But the game doesn't quite work that way. Alright, so taking some casualties here. But we were nearly have these guys surrounded in a pocket, and we should be able to close that pocket next turn. Unless they pull some of these troops already in the pocket out to cut me off, but if they do that, then that'll just make it easier to unbuckle their position because they'll all lose their entrenchment. So I'm guessing we'll wrap this thing up by turn 12, maybe 13, hopefully. We'll see. We still have one other objective over to the west to take too. Okay. I feel like I should be drinking vodka while playing as the Russians. I'm actually sipping some sherry. Okay. All this artillery! Alright, so we're up to 12 units destroyed. Still only one of the bases taken. Nice, we destroyed that unit. Drove this guy back. Okay, so we've encircled these troops, although it's something they could break out of, potentially. Alright, so we'll finish this guy off. Or drive him back. Finish this guy off now. Alright, nice. Okay, so our southern forces have linked up with our northern forces now. We've got this recon unit and air unit cut off. We also have these 3 units cut off. We're going to advance to keep them cut off. They could theoretically fall back. There's 1 hex for them to retreat to. Alright, so we nearly destroyed these Soviet conscript, or these Japanese heavy infantry, which are putting up a pretty good fight. I mean, they're fighting against Soviet conscripts. Too many anti-aircraft guns. Alright, so we also have these troops moving in the south. So I don't have a lot of money to spend on reinforcements for some of these guys. So let's move this armor here. This armor here. So you get a bit of a multiplier effect when you've got units supporting. So we're attacking from here, but you can see the plus symbol on these two units means they're going to support in the attack, which gives us better odds. Alright, there you can see we took out half the enemy's strength. We did lose some casualties for our armor there. But I think we accomplished what we were trying to do there. Alright, so that should be about it. We do need to move this artillery forward. I kind of forgot about them. Okay, so maybe reduce this pocket up in the north in the next turn, and then the following one we'll start moving on the final objective. The recon unit's kind of driving around confused, doesn't know what to do. I don't actually, it doesn't look like you can cut recon units totally off from supply. Ooh, that was silly, Japanese. You just attacked armor. You attacked heavy armor, too. Didn't work out so well for you, huh? 4-1 casualties. Oh, and there's artillery across the river in our rear. Alright, so we're almost to 15 Japanese ground units destroyed. There we go. Smashed! Enemy defenses are close to collapse. Our troops inflict heavy losses on the Japanese. Thor smash. Okay. Alright, we're going to move him around here, him here. Alright, these guys aren't cut off. I guess their objective gives them some supply, maybe? In any event, we'll reduce that pocket. Alright, so reducing those. Apparently attacking anti-aircraft guns with no supply is not an easy task. In any event, once this artillery's gone, that should soften the infantry up a little bit. Okay. There we go. Destroyed them. Took the base and destroyed them. So we just reduced the second fortification that we were, or the second part of the heights that we're after, and we've just got the one more, and it's completely surrounded. I don't even think I used my air units on that, did I? Nope. Alright, finish that guy off with air. And away we go to turn number 11. So 12 might have been a little bit over-ambitious, but we should still be able to finish him off relatively quickly. So they're AA guns withdrawing, so they keep in supply. They've linked back up with friendly forces. They actually just moved some infantry units into a woods out of some entrenchments, which, while they did do some damage to our armored unit there, I don't think was super smart. Now they have an undug-in unit that just took casualties on the objective point. attack there. All the attacking. Attack all the enemy. Alright, actually, they don't have any AA left. So we'll swoop in for... Oh, no, they do still have one. Damn it! Now it's gone. Well, that and the one unit there that we just destroyed. Okay. Alright, so this should just be more or less mopping up operations at this point. Moving units south to assist. We'll go ahead and move to turn. Maybe 12 will be right on. I don't know if we'll actually take it this turn. But it would be pretty fun if my prediction back then was 100% correct and on. Okay. We've got the one objective left to take. We'll hit them with artillery first. We'll hit them with air second. Alright, let's hit them with that, hit them with that. Nice! We took the base! I don't think they're going to be strong enough to counterattack. Alright, so that should be a major victory for us. So we'll go ahead and end after turn 12. Victory! Major victory. Your operation successfully drove the Japanese from our territory. Facing the choice to either escalate the conflict or settle the matter diplomatically, Tokyo has decided to ask for peace. So we got the primaries all accomplished, the secondaries all accomplished. We won a victory, and we'll go ahead and exit out of there. So we gained 3 new specialization points. Do we want to consult the specialization panel? Well, that's not enough to do anything yet, but you can see there's a Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which adds 1 land and air command point. You can see here there's a bunch of different things that we can do, Arctic convoys, guards, infantry, etc., of course, over the course of the war. After defeating the Japanese over here on this right flank, we're actually going to be fighting the Battle of Khalkhin Gol, a Japanese attack at Khalkhin Gol. So this is a further skirmish against the Japanese. This was the final decisive action. I think it was at, what was his name? General, was it, what's his name? Starts with a K. Was it Kuznetsov? Who won this decisive victory against Zhukov, sorry. Who won this decisive victory against the Japanese here. So it looks like there's 2 scenarios, I would imagine, that we're fighting against the Japanese, and after that we'll probably come west and fight the Winter War. Actually, no, after that we'll probably come west and fight the Polish in eastern Poland, and then probably the Winter War would be my guess. With that being said, that turn took almost an hour, so I think it's almost 2 o'clock my time, or about 1:30. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a very brief stream, just looking at the upcoming game, Red Star, or upcoming DLC, Red Star, which is a DLC pack for Order of Battle, World War II, a game published by Matrix and Slytherin Games, and I believe it's developed by the Aristocrats, or the Art Aristocrats. This is a game that's been out for a while, but they're continuing to churn out content for it, and it's a lot of fun. I think one of my frustrations, and this is just sort of my candid impressions, one of my frustrations with the way this game is done versus, I think, Panzer Corps, is sometimes it feels like battles that shouldn't feel like a slog do feel like a slog, and a lot of the battles kind of turn into what feels more like World War I type trench warfare rather than rapid maneuver combat. I think Panzer Corps probably does a better job with the rapid maneuver combat, I don't know if that's because Order of Battle was originally designed as Order of Battle Pacific, which looked at the Pacific theater, and that was kind of its niche, while Panzer Corps was still relatively new and was covering Europe. But then as time went on and they expanded, I don't know if maybe there's some elements of the gameplay design that were designed for less of a mobile warfare aspect. I don't think it was just that scenario, because it's an impression I've had from pretty much all of the recent Order of Battle scenarios, is it just feels too puzzly and too slogfesty and not quite enough rapid maneuver combat. But that's my impression, and it's not limited to Red Star. It's what my experience with all of them has been, at least recently. With that being said, I still enjoy it. It's still an interesting game. I still think they do some unique things for this type of a game. I think they do supply better. They do front lines better, for example, than Panzer Corps. And it's a slightly different take, but it'll be interesting to see how this game coexists or doesn't with Panzer Corps 2 when that comes out, because I think that's supposed to be coming out either later this year or early next year. And this game certainly seems to set up a 3-part, or at least a 2-part episode of Red Star against the Germans, because it only covers up to 41. And they did the same thing with the German expansions, where they covered up to 41, then they did 42 to 43, then 43 to the final part of the war. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling, guys. I do appreciate you coming out for yet another episode of our stream. I will probably stream a little bit tomorrow night. It may be a podcast episode, or it may be some more Legionaries Life. Until next time, though, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you once again for watching, and until next time, I'm out.